Let's bring you some breaking news now, because we are getting news from the US that the retired basketball star Kobe Bryant has been killed in a helicopter crash in Calabasas in California. This is coming from the US tabloid news website TMZ. They are reporting this on their website. It is at this stage not confirmed. What we do know is that the Los Angeles County Sheriff has said there has been a crash, a helicopter crash involving 5 people. It didn't identify any victims. This is the scene live from Calabasas, just outside Los Angeles, and we can see very clearly that there is a scene of a helicopter crash which has happened not too long ago, but the Los Angeles County Sheriff saying that 5 people are confirmed to have died in that helicopter crash. Let's just go on to tell you what else TMZ is reporting about potentially Kobe Bryant being on board. They say that he was travelling with at least 3 other people in his private helicopter when it went down. It reports that a fire broke out. Emergency personnel responded, TMZ report, but nobody on board survived. 5 people are confirmed dead in that crash. Let's talk to Chris Buckler, who is watching this story from Washington. Chris, any more news at this stage?
Yeah, Kobe Bryant, of course, was one of basketball's most famous players and most successful players. As the LA Lakers, he was regarded as a legend. He won several NBA championships. He was something like an 18-time All-Star. And he was someone who was known beyond just sport. Actually, since retiring from the LA Lakers, after some time, whenever actually he suffered some sports injuries, he reinvented himself and became a celebrity built on the name he had created in basketball. And he launched a number of different businesses, a venture capital firm. Beyond that, he was also known for being heavily involved in charity work, particularly regarding health and the education of children. He was someone who really eclipsed that sport in many ways. Beyond just basketball, he was known across America, and this will shock people. It is worth remembering, despite the fact that he had 20 years in which he was playing basketball, and having retired from that sport a few years ago, he was still only 41 and someone who was very active. And just really across the US media, there is a huge degree of shock. Now, TMZ, as you mentioned, were the first to report this. There's a celebrity news website. And when you take a look at their details, they say that they have confirmed that his wife, Vanessa, and his 3 daughters were not on board the helicopter. But they say he was with 3 other people, and we understand that the pilot was on board the helicopter as well when it crashed in Calabasas, just outside Los Angeles. And as I say, it is difficult to just kind of give the detail of how big a sports star he was. This is the equivalent of the likes of Pele in football. And you know, he is someone who is extraordinarily well known and a celebrity that goes beyond just that sport.
And Chris, as you're speaking, we can see the live pictures from Calabasas. You can see very clearly that something very significant has happened. Just as we speak, that the camera zoomed in to the scene of this helicopter crash, reported that 5 people were on board, all of them dead. I mean, it's very, very early to tell, but obviously this news, the reaction to it is going to be absolutely huge.
Yeah, it will be. It's also worth pointing out that it is the Grammys tonight that is taking place in Los Angeles, the music awards. You can imagine that there is going to be a lot of people there who will be reacting to this. He was actually somebody who in school had rapped, believe it or not, but beyond that, it is just that idea of such a major celebrity dying in this kind of helicopter crash. Now, you talked about the details of this. We've had only a very brief word from the sheriff in Los Angeles, the sheriff's office, in which they've said that this is being investigated. We are expecting a news conference in around 2 hours' time, in which hopefully we will get more information about what has happened. But at the moment, I can tell you from just looking at the wires and looking at some of the websites here in the US, all of a sudden the US news networks are turning to this, and they are starting to reveal as many details as they can. But it is very, very early stages. As you pointed out there, what we know at this stage is that 5 people have died in a helicopter crash, and several different news agencies are reporting that Kobe Bryant is one of those dead.
OK, Chris, for the moment, Chris Buckler there, monitoring events from Washington as we look at the crash site where this helicopter has gone down. The Los Angeles County Sheriff confirming that 5 people died in that helicopter crash just outside Los Angeles in Calabasas in California on Sunday morning local time. And we are hearing increasingly clear reports that Kobe Bryant was on board that helicopter. It was his private helicopter, and he has been killed among those 5 people reported dead on board. Let's talk to Adi Adipatan, who is the travel show presenter on the BBC and a former basketball player. Adi, thanks for joining us. Just tell us about the magnitude of this news.
I'm absolutely devastated. I literally heard this news in the last 20 or so minutes. It was on a WhatsApp group of mine, and I saw the news. I couldn't believe it. Then I looked on the TMZ website and saw the information being confirmed, and I'm now watching a US channel, and they're talking about his life now. And I mean, Kobe Bryant is, as you said, he's a legend. He's surpassed the sport of basketball. He's the man who took over the mantle of Michael Jordan. When Michael Jordan retired, everyone worried about basketball being in decline and losing its stardust. And then along came, the bright-faced, superstar, athletic, charismatic, intelligent player that Kobe Bryant was, who went to the LA Lakers and won 5 NBA championships and played in this exciting, exuberant fashion that made him just someone that everyone all over the world just wanted to aspire to. Yeah, all right, now I'm looking at my WhatsApp groups, and I've got people who are literally in tears, not just basketball fans, but people who just knew about Kobe Bryant and his legacy. This is devastating news.
And Adi, you said he went to the LA Lakers. He played his entire 20-year career there. He joined them and he stayed there. Yes.
I mean, I think that's kind of when you're a basketball star and you're a legend, that's what happens. You stay and you want to create your legacy. And Kobe Bryant would have looked at the legend or the weight of the LA Lakers. They're a team that has such history, with players like Abdul Karim Jabbar and Magic Johnson, people who, really turned the world onto basketball. And he wanted to be one of those players. And he was there. He was one of those players. He's had his shirt retired. The people in LA right now will be in mourning, as will most of the people all over the world, because what he done to that team, he put them back on the map. After years of being in the doldrums when the Chicago Bulls became the team because of Michael Jordan, then Kobe came to LA, and suddenly LA was Showtime once again, and all because of Kobe Bryant.
What was so special about Kobe Bryant as a player?
He had everything. He was athletic. He could score from outside. He could shoot threes. He could take you to the basket and dunk the basketball. But what it was his competitiveness, his extreme competitiveness. When his team should never have won, he would pick that team up on his shirt tails, and he would take them to victories that they shouldn't have had. And he was one of those players that other teams feared. The moment you knew you were playing against Kobe Bryant, other teams would know. Listen, this is going to be. We're more than likely going to be in a tough game if we even have a chance to win it. And it was just. I don't know. He was just the ultimate competitor. I'm watching pictures on the TV right now, and I'm so distracted because I can see how lively and how vibrant, watching him scoring and just thinking, how can this guy be dead? It's just shattered by this.
Adi, I know this must be a very emotional time for you, and in this, as you were saying, this is going to have a huge effect on the world of basketball, but also of the wider world of sport and beyond.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, he's 41 years old. He had a glittering 20-year NBA career, winning 5 titles, 18 times voted the most valuable player in the NBA, 18 times being seen as the greatest player in the world over the course of 20 years. And he was just about to embark on another stage of his life, another stage where he was going to bring more to the community, show what he could do outside of the basketball world. We've seen players like Michael Jordan go on to try and own NBA franchises, and perhaps Kobe could have gone on to be that man to go on and own. He could have been probably the first black owner to own the LA Lakers, but now all of that is gone in a few minutes from this helicopter crash. It's just what could have been. I think this was the start of Kobe's greatness, and it's utterly devastating, utterly devastating.
Adi, we really appreciate you talking to us. Adi Adepitan, a very emotional day for you and many other people in the world of basketball. Thank you for talking to us on BBC World News. Let's talk to Hugh Hopkins, the lead writer at the basketball website Double Clutch. Hugh, thank you for joining us. Just tell us your reaction to the news first of all.
It's devastating, quite shocking, and completely out of the blue, obviously. I don't think anybody was really prepared for this. And yeah, certainly the hearts and minds of the basketball world are probably going to unite, especially in offering their condolences to the Bryant family.
Just outline the magnitude of Kobe Bryant as a figure, as a name in the world of basketball and the world of sport.
I mean, he is one of the best athletes across all of sport for the past 20+ years, I think is fair to say. He's been an incredible figure in the world of basketball. He's had a divisive personality because of how driven he was as a human being and as a basketball player, but that drive really made him one of the greatest players, certainly in the last 20-25 years. He modelled himself on on Michael Jordan, possibly the greatest player of all time, and carried the torch for the NBA in terms of being the face of the league for the better part of his career. Only retired a few short years ago, so he is still very much in the front of many people's minds within basketball.
Tell us a little about his origins in the world of basketball. How early was it that it was spotted that he had quite an incredible talent?
Well, his father was a great player as well, and he has also he grew up in various parts of the world, in Italy, in Philadelphia. He was bilingual in a couple of different languages, and he really started in high school, where he ended up being taken straight out of high school, drafted into the NBA straight out of high school. So it was really incredible the way that he landed in the NBA as someone who was already very well known despite being so young. Because of his youth, he managed to last quite a long time in the NBA, and he had an incredible career during that time. 5 championships, an MVP trophy. I believe he's now 4th on the all-time scoring list. So he's certainly etched his name in the world of basketball.
And you mentioned that he was very driven, and that was controversial at times, but that was also part of the reason for his success.
Oh, most definitely. I think it's fair to say that he was a divisive person. There are a lot of people who are Kobe lovers in the world, and a lot of people who didn't like him so much because of the way he sometimes interacted with his teammates. He demanded the best from everybody on the court, and sometimes he did fall out with people because of that. But in terms of his basketball accolades, he's certainly up there with some of the all-time greats.
And Hugh, I mean, has there been, and it's very early, this news is only broken in the last few minutes or so, but are you getting a sense of the wider reaction to this tragic news?
Yeah, even among people who possibly will have called themselves not fans of Kobe Bryant because of the things we've just discussed. I think there's certainly a respect for what he was able to do on the basketball court, and because of that, there seems to be great upset. I think it's also the way that it seems to have happened. Obviously, reports are still going on. Not entirely 100% of the details as it's happening, but such a shocking tragedy that I think even if this wasn't Kobe Bryant, this would possibly be quite large news. But the fact that it is Kobe, then it makes it all the more incredible and shocking and upsetting for so many people.
And how he played, what he did on the court, what was so special about the way he played?
He modelled himself on his hero, Michael Jordan, who, greatest player of all time. But many people sort of derided him because of that. But actually, he was able to take what he learned from Michael Jordan and really turn it into his own. Like I said, added his own driven personality, and he was able to score in ways that impressed so many people with good reason. He was able to lift his team to another level at certain points of his career, and he really benefited from playing alongside some of the all-time greats as well. It's fair to say, but certainly Kobe. After teaming up with Shaquille O'Neal early in his career, he then carved his own path in the NBA and won multiple championships. But leading a team himself, and I think that really goes to show his character also, that he wasn't just happy being the second fiddle on a great team. He wanted to be the leader, and that certainly bore out, and his teams won because of him.
Hugh, thank you for your time. Hugh Hopkins there with his reaction, the lead writer at the basketball website Double Clutch. But let's just recap on what you're seeing on your screen. What we are tragically seeing is the crash site from a helicopter that has gone down with 5 people on board, all confirmed dead. And just in the last few minutes, the city of Calabasas, California, where this crash has taken place, confirms on Twitter that the retired basketball star Kobe Bryant was on board. He has died in that helicopter crash. Chris Buckler, our US correspondent, is monitoring events. Chris, just tell us what we know about what happened at this stage.
Yeah, we're expecting in about an hour and a half's time for the Sheriff's Office in LA to give us more details. But if you take a look at the US media and the information that is coming out at the moment, there are just tribute after tribute to Kobe Bryant. He is someone who is not just regarded as being a great basketball player, but also someone who was well known outside of that sport. And people are talking about his achievements, certainly on the court, and there is no doubt when you take a look back at his 20-year career that he is someone who is regarded as a legend in basketball, certainly amongst LA Lakers fans, who he played throughout his entire career. But even beyond that, there's a lot of people pointing out and paying tribute to his work for after-schools clubs, really funding health and education programs for children, and his work internationally, even looking towards China in particular. And the NBA's made this real attempt to kind of see growth outside of the US. They want to see basketball in the US being watched right across the world, particularly in China. That's been one of the growth areas in recent years. And Kobe Bryant was someone who was seen very much as a figurehead for that kind of movement. He was someone who was regarded as a legend within the sport, and was also somebody who could be a very articulate and very forceful speaker. I think, as you've been talking about, he could also be pretty forceful on the basketball court itself. Sometimes he could draw some ire, but actually, if you speak to basketball fans, no matter who they support, and there are many people who don't support the LA Lakers in the US, he nonetheless built up their admiration and their respect, because he was someone who was competitive. He was someone who proved that he could get it done on the court. And you look through some of his achievements. He was an all-star, he was the most valuable player, he won NBA championships. As far as basketball is concerned, this sport is something that he rose up in, and you could argue with his celebrity also eclipsed. Now, as for the information about what we know about the crash, he was someone who had a private helicopter. In fact, he was well known for sometimes flying from his home to the LA Lakers games. And he was someone who travelled that way quite often. He also had a lot of business dealings, a venture capital company, for example, and he very often moved around in a helicopter for the speed of that. But it seems clear at this stage, from the information that we have, that he is one of 5 people to have died in this helicopter crash in Calabasas in California.
OK, Chris Buckler, thank you very much. Let's talk to Roland Lazenby, who's the author of the book Showboat, The Life of Kobe Bryant. He joins us via Skype from Virginia. Thank you very much for talking to us. Your thoughts on this tragic news?
It's heartbreaking. Kobe Bryant was a very creative spirit, a very determined, very willful young man. I was there the night he scored his first NBA bucket. He bounced into the locker room afterward and hit me with a soul shake. He had no idea who I was, just some reporter in the room, but I got to know him quite well. And his determination, I'm sorry if I keep looking up, but his determination, his will, there were so many things that shaped him. He came into the National Basketball Association in America in this whirl of controversy, as if he were a young man jumping the line. He was a teenager. Adidas had paid him millions to turn professional. And there was all of this bad publicity that was incorrect. Assuming that he was trying to do all of this, or that he and his family were somehow engineering it. And I went in detail. I've written a couple of books about him, but I went in detail on this biography recently, Showboat. And none of it was true, and he never bothered. He never bothered to try to correct the negative publicity around himself, and he could have done it easily. I mean, it was not something that couldn't be made clear. The people involved in all of, from Adidas, the people who moved everything in his life, it was not Kobe or even his family instigating it. But Kobe wasn't concerned at that age about public image. He just wanted to compete, and he had such a pure competitive spirit. He struggled because he also had this very fine creative mind. And sometimes those things work together well, and sometimes they don't. But he was unlike anyone else. I once said, if our culture could somehow have bottled all of the things that Kobe possessed in his character, we would probably be selling condos on the moon these days. He had that sort of ability to just transform everything.
Roland, just in the last 30 seconds of our programme, just what was so special about him? Why did he become one of the greatest of all time?
Because he was absolutely and completely driven, and there was nothing he would not do to be great. He made every single sacrifice. It included some very difficult decisions in his life, but there was nothing he did not do every single day. It was just phenomenal the way he attacked, the ferocity with which he attacked basketball.
Roland, thank you so much. Roland Lazenby, author of the book Showboat, The Life of Kobe Bryant, giving your reaction to that tragic news that the basketball legend Kobe Bryant has died in a helicopter crash outside Los Angeles.